This episode of The Corner Office is brought to you by Vistage Worldwide. In business for over 60 years, we exist solely to help high-integrity leaders make great decisions that benefit their families, their businesses, and their communities. Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Jackie Kibler, and this is the first show of From the Corner Office. The concept of From the Corner Office was to provide insight for CEOs and business owners from a perspective of either growing your business, elevating yourself to the next level, or opening up a new business in the San Gabriel Valley. What we will be doing is speaking with CEOs and business owners and leaders in the local community to help provide the ebb and flow of business, to show the good and bad, the successes and failures and obstacles and successes of life in the business world as a CEO. Another concept, another point of the show's development was to help people who are trying to find employment, whether it's finding a new career, building on a career they have. They'll be able to get answers from some of the CEOs that are brought into this show. Come take this journey with us, and hopefully you will find something to make your career or take your career to the next level. And with that, I would like to introduce all of you to our two guests today. We have got Eric Duyshart, who is the Economic Development Manager for the City of Pasadena, and Jeff Allred, who is the CEO of the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership. Thank you both for joining us today. I'm very happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
One of the things that I'd like to start with, just a little bit about yourselves. So, Eric, if you could just tell everyone just a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I manage economic development for the City of Pasadena. I'm in the city manager's office, and from that position, we're a liaison group with the business community. So we work at both the micro level as far as being the kind of the face of City Hall, working with local businesses, and then also being involved with organizations such as the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, with the Innovate Pasadena, Chamber of Commerce, Convention Center Bureau, others that are involved with the business community in various ways. So we have a chance to promote investment in our community, but also understand the needs of the businesses so that City Hall can be responsive.
Great. How long have you been doing this?
For 20 plus years.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Yeah, I came to the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership after about a 40-year career in local government.
Wow.
I worked for 6 cities, spent a lot of time in the San Gabriel Valley as a city manager, and so this was a good next step for me to work on a regional basis.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Can I, let's start with this. You know, being a city manager and, working in the economic partnership is, there's a way that you had to have found your way in there. Can you share a little bit about how you found the careers that you are in?
I'll go first then. So I started off with an architectural firm, kind of early college years, and ultimately found urban planning as a path that was good for me. So I got a degree in urban planning, started working for cities, and through planning, project management, working with different business communities, special projects, ultimately one thing leads to another, of course, and have been working on special projects on behalf of the city, managing the city's real estate, and then again, of course, the role of economic development manager.
Great. I'm going to tag on to that. When you look at your role as the economic development manager, what would be some insights of the role? What are the things that stand out for you within that role?
Well, knowing a little bit about a lot of things, I suppose. So we deal with a lot of stakeholders, so the community members, business owners, people that are visiting the community, investors, real estate managers of different organizations. So we have to have an ear toward a variety of things that are relevant to the business community and to investors. So we know that they have their interests. The government, of course, has to be involved and responsible for a range of things. Sometimes those things work out very well and nicely together, and there are plenty of times where we have to iron out the challenges and make sure that we work toward a common goal. So it takes work. So there are lots of things that the private sector does in a fantastic way. There are different holes and kind of managing a city that always bubble up, and we have to work with different departments and ultimately try and move forward to make it a better place to live and work.
Great. I'm looking forward to digging into that a little bit. Jeff, how about yourself? Let's talk a little bit about how you wound up in the career, and then just a little bit, some specificity around the role and the exciting parts of it.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley and went to college at the University of La Verne, where I majored in public administration and economics, and had the opportunity to go to work immediately. Actually, I worked for the City of La Verne as an intern when I was in college, and then worked after that with the City of West Covina, and I worked in the City of El Monte, City of Downey. I became the assistant city manager of La Verne, where I was there for about 13 years. Then became the city manager of Norco in Riverside County. Yeah. And then came back to San Gabriel Valley, where I was the city manager of the city of Rosemead for about 7 years before I moved on to the partnership. So I had a lot of experience in working for cities. Very exciting to see a city, or to help a city grow economically, as well as influence the lifestyle and culture of the community, and the quality of life in the community. Very challenging, very rewarding career that I really enjoyed for about four decades. So
that's amazing. What would be one thing for both of you that stood out as, you know what, this was my shining light?
As far as a career?
As far as the role that you're in right now, has there been one project that you have been like, this is my shining light so far?
Well, I've worked with Pasadena for a while, so I have to admit there probably isn't one in particular, but I have the benefit of driving through the community and having the kind of sensation of seeing projects and bits and pieces of kind of positive improvement on various blocks in the community, and working with organizations, being involved with the start of the Pasadena BioScience Collaborative, helping get the Innovate Pasadena group going, helping to get property owners thinking in a slightly different direction so that they can have a broader community benefit as they invest. So I have to admit, there's not one. Working with CalTech, working with Art Center, those, you see the great work that those institutions do, and just having been a little part of those accomplishments is very satisfying.
That's a lot of lights.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Jeff, how about yourself?
Well, in terms of the partnership, it's been very rewarding in the last year and a half since I've been there to see the partnership grow. Membership is increasing. Many businesses have joined the partnership. In a post-recession environment where that saw the partnership dip a bit in terms of its enrollment and membership. For example, I think we've seen about 10 cities rejoin the partnership in the last year and a half, which has been very exciting. And what helped that happen was the creation of an online tool that we've created at the partnership called the San Gabriel Valley Economic Power Site. It's powersite.com, and it's used by the cities as well as investors and site selectors for businesses to provide them with data. And data is critical in making decisions, and so any information that a site selector or investor needs to open a business or locate a business in any one of the cities in the San Gabriel Valley is there at their fingertips now with this online tool, the San Gabriel Valley Economic Power Site.
That's great. That's beautiful. Thank you. Let's take that to the next question, which, and you sort of landed on it a little bit when you were talking about the power site and different companies coming into the San Gabriel Valley. What would you say, and I'll start with you, Jeff, just from more of a macro perspective, what are some of the top trends for the market, and where do you see the largest future growth?
Well, the number one business sector in the San Gabriel Valley is healthcare. I think it's about 1 in 4 jobs in the San Gabriel Valley are healthcare related in some fashion, whether it's for a healthcare provider or for, say, a healthcare medical device manufacturer or pharmaceutical manufacturing. So that's a common thread for a good portion of our economy. The good thing about the San Gabriel Valley is it's a very diversified economy. We're not relying upon any one sector. We have great diversification. On a personal level, we want to invest and diversify our portfolio, right?
Sure.
And the San Gabriel Valley, in a macro sense, is very diversified, and so we're not reliant upon any one sector, which is a great thing. But healthcare is the strongest. That's
great. What would you think would be next from that?
Well, I think we were seeing like medical device manufacturing, pharmaceutical manufacturing. So manufacturing is on the way back. For a long time, we had we saw a decline of manufacturing, but now it's changing with that healthcare emphasis. So, and also, in tech companies, we see them coming as well in Pasadena, Monrovia, Arcadia area. So I'd say that's another trend is more and more tech-related companies.
Great, thank you. How about with Pasadena?
Yeah, in Pasadena, much the same story. We benefit from having a nice, diverse set of industries. Education, in particular, is strong in Pasadena. It's a high-growth sector, and between our institutions, public, private schools, that's a strong point here in Pasadena. Finance also trends better than compared to the rest of the county. We have East West Bank, Western Asset, a variety of other finance groups in town. Engineering is strong here in Pasadena. That has a growth that is still fairly stable. We've had, of course, Parsons and Jacobs, Tetra Tech, large firms here in Pasadena. They have changed their formatting a little bit, but in recent years on the software side, that has really seen a big bump from, we have OpenX, SupplyFrame, Spokio, Bluebeam, all companies that maybe are not household names, but that have seen tremendous growth in Pasadena and are adding a workforce that is younger and I think really beneficial to our environment as they are, they have good spending habits, they can afford, unfortunately, our expensive real estate throughout the valley is an ongoing challenge as we're trying to recruit, but we need people that can at least step into a position here in Pasadena and afford housing nearby, and the tech sector is one of those that is helpful. But as Jeff mentioned, healthcare is a big one in Pasadena. Kaiser Permanente has a big footprint in Pasadena. They're building a new medical school, which is very exciting. It's a 100,000 square foot building over here at Green and Las Robles, just north of the Hilton. It's going to start construction very soon. They put up the construction fence. They've got the trailers there, so they're going to be digging out for the subterranean garage soon. But healthcare certainly is a trend in Pasadena that reflects the countywide kind of growth, and we're happy to have a foothold in that in a strong way.
Thank you. I'm going to ask this next question more from a perspective of bringing in new talent to those that might want to try to elevate themselves from where they are currently. So age, age wouldn't be a factor with any of that. Where would you say the strongest areas, if I am someone who's new into the market, where do you see the biggest trajectory? And then those that are looking for something, a change into a better direction?
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about education a bit. Eric mentioned that's a strength of the Valley. It's a major strength certainly in Pasadena, but throughout the San Gabriel Valley, we have some of the top higher education institutions in the country here in the San Gabriel Valley. If you look at CalTech here in Pasadena, the Art Center, you have PCC, which is one of the top 10 community colleges in the nation. And as you move further east, you see that continues. You have Azusa Pacific University, which is a growing entity and very strong. The University of Laverne, similarly, a private university. Then you have the Claremont colleges, which are highly rated schools, nationwide. We have 5 community colleges here in the San Gabriel Valley, which is really amazing. I mentioned PCC, we have Mount SAC, which is the largest. It's either the largest or second largest, depending on the day, in the country for community colleges. We have Citrus College, Rio Hondo College serves the valley. We have ELAC in Monterey Park, which is a fine two-year community college. So, and then in terms of high schools and K-12 systems, some of the best in the state of California, even the nation, are right here in the San Gabriel Valley, throughout the valley. And I could name many outstanding school districts and even private high schools. So it's a hotbed of education. In fact, a study's been conducted in the past number of years ago showing that the San Gabriel Valley has more higher education institutions than any place in the country, including the Boston metropolitan area.
Wow. Which
is it's a little known fact, but it's true. So education is huge. You talk about talent development. That's why we got into this discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
That we have amazing talent right here in the valley, and that's why businesses want to be here. They need talent. They need workforce. As we talk to businesses, workforce development is really at the top of their list of challenges, and that's why they want to be in the San Gabriel Valley. It's because of the educational institutions here.
What would you think would be some of the industries that, someone who is newly out of school, college, and someone who is trying to change, maybe they were in a dead-end job, or they were doing something where maybe their job was eliminated, and they wanted to find a new trajectory?
Well, if I can jump in, there are certainly tracks that are in high demand that you can't just flip into. So engineering, of course, is in high demand. Nursing is in high demand. So that is, if you can start early enough, if you look at what job wanted ads are out there are hundreds of jobs available just in Pasadena in those 2 sectors alone. Mm. So, but ultimately, we benefit now with our national economy being strong enough where our unemployment rate here in Pasadena is near 4%. And there are a lot of businesses that are looking for kind of mid-level experience positions. So people who are responsible, have a reasonable resume, can have opportunity to jump in a few different directions now. And we have, as we mentioned before, a benefit of a range of business sectors. There's a lot of administrative work to be done. And that jumps to sector. So if you've got skills and keeping some general books for a business, so making sure that you have a general understanding of how human resource issues relate to a company, and being relatively pragmatic when it comes to serving customers. Having those general skills are a benefit to a range of jobs. So ultimately, I think there are a range of paths, but certainly the ones that are skilled right now are in the highest demand and kind of are begging for talent to apply for those positions.
Great, thank you. Anything you want to add, Jeff?
Only that there are opportunities in every field in terms of employment. Again, that's the number 1 or 2 issue of concern for any business these days is workforce development and finding that right talent. And so I think the sky's the limit. I think there's just a wide scope of opportunity throughout the valley.
Yeah, the service sector as well, between our hotels and restaurants, and of course in Pasadena, we've got a lot of restaurants. Hotel growth is significant right now, adding a lot of rooms to the pool of resources here in Pasadena. They're all hiring, so ultimately that may not be the kind of automatic perception of kind of a track for a career, but that is, they've got well-paying jobs in the hospitality industry, not just in Pasadena, but throughout the county.
Sure, thank you. And I've had many conversations with folks that are millennials that I've talked to about the trajectory that you can have within the hotel industry or any part of the hospitality industry. And actually, when we talk about workforce development, that brings me to the next question. And I would be curious from your perspective, when you look at our population, you look at the workforce, what type of development and training do you feel is of the utmost importance in order to help us grow, not just personally, but more within a community perspective?
Well, all the technical training is there. I mean, all these institutions of higher learning can provide tremendous technical training for people. But what we hear from the businesses is they need people that are that have soft skills. And what are soft skills? They're people skills. They're showing up to work on a regular basis skills.
On time?
On time skills, right? Those and that's what we hear from businesses. They need to make sure that they can find people with technical abilities at our universities and community colleges, but they need to have those soft skills that will help them be successful in the job, to be able to work as part of a team at the workplace, and to be responsible. And so we find that is a very high priority for businesses. And so as people are looking for jobs, they need to make sure they not only have technical abilities and skills, technical skills that'll make them successful, but just those interpersonal and soft skills that we've been talking about here.
Well, I'll say something that I'd love to hear from you, Eric. It's interesting because as our technology has grown and we are constantly on our phones and we're on our headsets, it makes it, you would think soft skills would be something that wouldn't be so much of a challenge. And yet it is, because so much of us are working on our phones, on our computers, in a room, not with a virtual workspace. So I completely get the soft skills component.
Yeah, well, as an employer, we have had opportunities to kind of interview various interns or people that are professionals, and it really does make a difference, right? So you can have your experience, but ultimately the ability to communicate and just share with a potential employer your background and your kind of understanding of what's expected. Those interview skills, it applies to all different jobs. It's just a really important thing for any potential candidate to kind of really focus in on and practice. And ultimately, if you apply to a variety of jobs, ultimately you'll see where you're succeeding. And ask for feedback, honestly. If you're out there in the workforce and even wanting to switch to a different career, always trying to keep your talent of interviewing skills, kind of sharp, and getting feedback from people and understanding where the gaps are. I know that's not always easy when you're dealing with the HR department, but it's something that I think is worthwhile.
Thank you. That's great feedback. Many of us, we don't interview until we absolutely need to, and we do it in a fashion that doesn't really help us in trying to obtain the job, because we might be speaking too casually. Or I was interviewing somebody when I was working at the LA Times that actually answered her phone while she was at an interview with me. And it was absolutely crazy. I just, obviously she didn't get the job. So, big deal.
Well, I would just say one other thing about it. It's very important for interviewers or interviewees to have a plan when they walk into that room for the interview. Not something you wing. Right, you better have a plan about how you're going to present yourself, and be able to. And
a passion for the industry. Sometimes you throw out your experience, your education, but if you don't show the passion for that particular job, it could all go downhill. So, you can almost get over some of the gaps in your experience if you show the motivation and passion.
Absolutely. Sort of a will versus skill.
Right.
You could teach the skill, can't teach the will.
Right.
All right, last question. What would you say people should get the most excited about in Pasadena and San Gabriel Valley? And I'm going to go to Eric first.
All right. Well, I think I'm excited about the continued investment by our institutions. If you look at the Chen Neuroscience Building in CalTech and all the things that Art Center is doing on South Campus, and the things that the city's invested in the Rose Bowl, our convention center is doing great. We've got a great kind of infrastructure in Pasadena that helps set the stage for all the private sector investment with the restaurants and hotels. So that investment that I see just bubbling up now for the next decade is very exciting from a perspective of City Hall.
That's huge. Thank you.
I think what's most exciting about the San Gabriel Valley is the diversity of communities and the population, the demographics. If you look at the demographics of the San Gabriel Valley, particularly say the Asian community, people of Asian descent, there are the percentage of Asian descent people in the valley is twice the average of what it is in other parts of LA County. This is so and it affects our that diversity affects our communities in a positive way. We have 31 cities in the valley. Each has its own distinctive culture and traditions and celebrations. And so what an exciting place to live.
Awesome.
With this diversity and these different communities that all are standing out in a different way.
Thank you. Jeff and Eric, thank you so much for joining us today on our inaugural episode of From the Corner Office. It has been a true pleasure, so thank you so much. And thanks to the community for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you next time, and cheers to a more profitable tomorrow.